been some kind of an explosion, and you can see that a high pressure line is now shooting this fireball hundreds of feet into the air. We're now really seeing a much larger black cloud of smoke coming from the refinery, drifting towards the east, and that fire is really nowhere close to being fought yet. They are trying their level best to get water and foam into the area here, trying to dampen some of the surrounding infrastructure. There are sprinklers that have been activated, but you could see where those pipes and metal rebar have been basically destroyed where that explosion happened. Again, that appears to be the focus of the damage. We do not have any reports of injuries so far related to this explosion, but it was a massive explosion, to say the very least. And if you're anywhere within a 10-mile radius of this explosion, I would say it's most likely you felt or saw something.
Indeed. Now, we want to update the surrounding communities. No evacuation orders have been issued as of yet. We do know that the prevailing winds at this time of night blow from west to east. So if you are to the east of this oil refinery and the explosion, you are advised to keep your windows closed and your doors closed as well. Stay inside. Stay with Eyewitness News for continuing coverage. We're going to be streaming and on the air throughout the night. We're going to go back to our streaming service right now and continue our coverage of the explosion and fire at the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo. All right, we are back now live on the stream. Sorry, Dave, I had to cut you off there for a second because we had to do a live hit on television there. But again, updating, there are no evacuation orders as yet for Manhattan Beach or any of the surrounding communities that we know of. However, people are being told to stay indoors, keep your windows closed, and await further information. But the fire is at least contained to that area. It's nowhere close to being put out, but it does seem to be perhaps diminishing somewhat. Perhaps it's burning through what's in the area. We don't know, but it is not the fireball that was there just a few minutes ago. As far as any efforts to fight the fire, we're not seeing that, because it is very hard at this point for firefighters to get into this area. And we do know that the Chevron company has its own fire department, its own fire response team, if you will, that will be working on this, that is working on this. But as Chris Christie and Air 7 pointed out, there is a long line of fire trucks of surrounding agencies from El Segundo, Torrance, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, LA City and County, we presume as well, in a mutual aid situation, preparing, poised to go in, but having not done so as yet. We don't know whether that's for safety reasons or for some other reason. We do not know. The layout of the scene is this. You've got the main fire here. This is where the fireball originated. This was the source of the explosion. This building, we don't know what is done in this building, but there is obviously some sort of high-pressure petroleum line that connects to it. Something in that line is clearly ruptured, and a fire has ensued. Off to the left of that, from our picture on the left, are the two stacks, which are venting flames and hot gases as well. No real hazard posed by those, except for the smoke and particulate matter that's coming from the burning petroleum connected to those smokestacks. But this is uncontrolled. This is, at the moment, just what we presume is a ruptured pipeline of some sort of ruptured juncture of a pipeline. We don't know. And that hot petroleum product, we don't know whether it's refined oil, we don't know whether it's gasoline, jet fuel. We have no idea what this is. It is a petroleum product because this is an oil refinery, and it has caught fire, and it is spewing very, very black smoke out into the air, and we presume is extremely hot very close to it because, as Chris Christie pointed out, petroleum burns hot. That is why it is used as a fuel. And so that's what we're seeing here. We have no indication of casualties yet, no information on whether anybody's been hurt in this, but the explosion seen and felt for miles around. So what we're going to do is check back in with Dave. I don't know if do we have David from Manhattan Beach, or have we? I'm
still here.
You are still there. All right.
Yeah.
So you say your wife and your kids felt the actual explosion, the actual blast. How did they describe it?
They just said, a big roar and a really bright flash. And then they grabbed me to come out. And as I was running out of the house, everything was lit up orange, pretty bright. Looks like it's really come down now. I'd say it's 80% reduced from the initial explosion or post-explosion. Looks like from at least my vantage point, the two main sources of fire are the towers on this would be the west side of the refinery. Looks like one of the ones they usually do the burning off on, and some other structure like tower structures to the east of it. And then the big main fire that was really lighting everything up, shooting 50, 100 feet up, that was much further east of the towers, looks like is almost completely out. I still see a little bit of orange through some trees, but like I said, it looks like it's about 80% reduced from where it was about half hour ago when this started.
All right, that is certainly good news. Is this something that you think about, living a mile or so from this Chevron plant? Is this something that you worry about? Is it part of your kind of life as you live near this place?
I mean, it definitely crosses your mind occasionally that you've got, those massive storage tanks there in the refinery. But, I think you just kind of learn to live with it, like earthquakes or tornadoes if you live in a tornado zone. But 25 years, I've never seen anything like this.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yep, I really hope everyone's okay. I know there's a lot of hardworking folks there that are running this place, and this definitely pretty gnarly, so I hope everyone's okay.
All right, David Gina of Manhattan Beach, thank you for your time. Glad you and your family are safe. And again, no evacuation orders or warnings of any sort for the community or the city of Manhattan Beach. None for any of the surrounding cities either, including El Segundo, as far as we know. There have been no indications to us that anyone's having to evacuate because of this. The actual hazard from the explosion and fire seems to have diminished. The remaining hazard is more of a pollution hazard at this point. The particulate matter and smoke and oil residue that's going to be drifting out over much of Southern California to the east of this location, being driven by the prevailing winds that will take place this evening and into the morning. So that's something we're going to look at very closely. Chris Christie in Air 7, are there any firefighters approaching this? Is there any effort that you see at this point to try to put this out, or is it still preventative?
Well, it's still preventative at this point. We're seeing a lot more fire apparatus move into the area. I am listening to lots of conversations and dispatches to surround this area, essentially. But right now, the actual firefight is still being ramped up here in terms of actually being able to tackle that elevated fireball coming from that high-pressure petroleum line that you see right there in the center of your screen. They are working cooperatively with the gas company to figure out the best course of action here. There were a number of reports of additional fires in the area, other 911 calls coming from this entire area. They're making sure some of them were unfounded, some of them actually were legit, but in any event, without too many details, we can say that they are stabilizing that situation, dealing with all of those emergency calls and making sure that they have enough resources to address this fire right here that you're looking at. But again, it's a cooperative mutual aid effort amongst a number of different agencies. El Segundo Fire Department, Chevron has their own fire department out here, in addition to LA County Fire and Manhattan Beach. So a number of agencies working together to make sure that the residents in this area are safe, while we continue to watch this fireball just light up the night sky here in Inglewood, due south of LAX, no more than a couple miles south of the main runways. And you can see this is just one of several large flames here at the refinery that are producing that brilliant flame. If we go over it, widen out a little bit, you can see there's still another smokestack over towards the west that is continuing to produce a lot of flameage. It is ventilating the fire below ground there, and you can see it is releasing a lot of gas into the air. As you mentioned, the air quality here is diminishing, although it's starting to lay down a little bit, so maybe signs of less pressure coming from these pipelines. As we look out there, I could tell you just a few minutes ago, it was a much thicker black plume of smoke that was being produced by this refinery fire, and now that cloud is thinning out just a little bit. Still means that the air is very poor, especially from El Segundo to points due east of here, especially towards Hawthorne, Inglewood, and that part of town. It's definitely going to affect air quality over there, but it does look like perhaps this fire is producing slightly less smoke as the minutes tick by here. I think we're going on about 40 minutes.
Yeah, and you know, we're kind of at a loss in terms of what tactics would be employed here to fight a fire at a refinery. We're not getting any information from the company Chevron itself. We're trying to get information from the surrounding communities. But one presumes that if you have a pipeline that is ruptured, that is where the fuel is actually on fire, the best thing to do is go upstream and shut off the flow of petroleum to that pipeline, and perhaps that is what somebody's trying to do right now. We don't know whether that is met with success or not, but it does seem that the flames are even less intense at this juncture than they were just 20 minutes or so ago, which would be certainly good news. And if that's the way that this fire would be fought, then that one step toward that is may be happening if they are able to go upstream and shut off or diminish the flow of oil and or gas or whatever this is to the flame, the area of flames. That would allow firefighters to approach and then actually begin to snuff this thing out. Or it may just be a question of whether it just runs out of fuel and burns itself out. But it's an oil refinery, and there is presumably a lot of fuel available and in the pipeline itself, and for all of that to burn off could take quite a long time. In the meantime, this one building is the scene of where that explosion took place. It looks like there's some sort of, if we could tilt down just a bit, our little banner is kind of covering it up, but there appears to be some sort of an apparatus. Yeah, that's moving. There's something moving in the direction of the fire. Can we tilt the camera down just a little bit? Tilt down. Going to try to get it again. I know we're shifting positions, but now it's kind of on the left, the lower left corner of the screen. There is what appears to be some sort of elevated structure that may be attached to a vehicle, because I saw it moving. Now it's moving out of our shot. But if we pan left, yeah, see, there it is. It's up on top of that long kind of a crane-like structure. That appeared to be moving. And if there's water that's going to come out of that, this may be the first effort that we're seeing here to try to get this thing fought with actual water being deployed onto it. Maybe the flames have diminished enough so to allow that to happen, but we will see if enough high-pressure water can be brought to bear on this to perhaps begin to fight this fire and take the first steps toward putting it out. We'll, of course, be watching that very closely. We're not getting any information thus far from Chevron. We've put in calls to their headquarters. No information is coming to us. I'm wondering, Chris, if as you listen to the conversations among the first responders, have you heard anything about anyone being transported, about anyone being missing, about any casualties?
Yeah, it still remains that as of this point, we have not heard any reports like that, nothing in terms of injuries. That's not to say there weren't any, but at this point, we have not heard any reports. We've seen some ambulances lined up over there, but they have been inactive. They've been basically standing by along the perimeter of the refinery. But what we are hearing is calls for foam trucks. And I think the big obstacle here is going to be accessing the immediate vicinity of where that particular fireball is coming from is going to be the trickiest part here. And that seems to be the challenge, at least from our vantage point here, because all of the resources that we have seen come into the frame have all been held at bay, either by choice or by just sheer logistics. I mean, these oil refineries are just mazes of of pipes, mostly pipes and metal beams that provide the support for this kind of a structure. So I think accessing that particular elevated area is going to be the trickiest part here, and what they really need is foam more than water. And so I think they're trying to figure out that strategy at this point.
And it's going to be needed to be delivered at high pressure and high volume, and so you need the type of vehicle or the type of apparatus that will allow for that. And so that is what we're going to have to see whether that is being brought to bear anytime soon. Amy Powell is near the area right now. Amy, you're in Manhattan Beach, is that correct?
That's right, Mark. We're at Rosecrans and Sepulveda Boulevard, and I want to show you what's happening here because police are in the area evacuating people from this area and making sure they don't go west in the direction of the refinery. You can probably see some of the smoke that is billowing from that fire through the air here, and we can get a view of the refinery. We see the glow of the flames just a short distance from where we are. I spoke to a resident just a few minutes ago of El Segundo, Howard Thorne, who's with me now. He was here when this explosion happened. And Howard, I just want you to describe what happened because you said this was really terrifying.
Yeah, I was on the other side of Sepulveda behind the gas station here. And when I first seen it, it looked like a nuclear bomb going off. And I would say it was roughly at least 15 football fields wide, what it looked like to me. So I pulled over in a safe area and I started filming and photo shooting it because I used to work for the news agency back in the day.
So describe for me the sound, because that sounds like it must have shaken. You were in your vehicle. It must have shaken your car. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was. I didn't hear as much of an explosion. I just saw the light, and I just immediately started. I never go in panic mode, and I started going in panic mode because it was so huge. It was like from here to here of flames and smoke. And I was like, I never seen anything like it in my entire life, you know? And it was horrifying. And I'm just like, Lord Jesus, please, I hope no one dies in this fire. It was heavy, and I have to say, I was in the LA riots for 4 days and it was no fires like this, that's for sure. So, and my family's from Manhattan Beach as well, so.
And as an El Segundo resident, I don't know how close you live to this refinery, but is this something that has ever concerned you, living this close to a refinery?
Oh, 100%, yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's why I called my friend and I said, look, they might have to evacuate if you're close to the refinery. So I live over there off of Pine and Bungalow in a 5-bedroom house. And so right now, we're in a safe zone, but any closer, yeah, I would not be there. I'd be going to get in a hotel. Because yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Now, does it worry you about these fumes that might be coming from this because this area is filled with a lot of smoke?
Now, that's a good point. Yeah, the fumes and the smoke, yes. I might end up having to go to a friend's house. Thank you for reminding me of that. I didn't think about that. Yes, I think I might end up staying somewhere else tonight. Yes.
So again, we're hearing sirens. Of course, we have more police, more fire officials heading this way. Again, they've been going through this area. We believe they are trying to evacuate people from that area, as many people as possible. So for you, if you had been home, would this have posed a danger to where you live?
Not where I live, no. But on the other side of the tracks, yes. Because they got to be very careful, Last time at Torrance Refinery, when that blew up, someone died just driving by, as you know. And so I was telling people, man, when they're over there across the street, I go, you guys got to get across the street because that thing goes off again. It can be devastating. And thank God right now, it looks like they got a handle on it to what I know of. But I don't know everything about what's going on in the fire. So.
How are you feeling at this point? Are you still pretty shaken up by what you experienced seeing that go off?
I did a lot of praying. Lord, thank you, Jesus, for protection. And right now I'm calm. I'm a lot calmer. But before, no, I was in panic mode. I'm calling my friend freaking out. And I'm not scared of nothing. And that's how devastating it was to me. When I saw that, I was immediately thinking, oh, no. I'm praying that wasn't a terrorist attack. And I don't think it is, but that came to my mind, just so you know.
It was just that frightening, that disorienting.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, disoriented. That's a very good word. Yes, it was. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Well, thank you, Howard. We really appreciate you describing what happened. Thankfully, you are safe, and be careful out here. We appreciate you talking to us.
God bless you.
All right, thank you very much. So once again, Mark, that's just one story. We're seeing a lot of people gathering out here from the neighborhood. They've come over here. We're standing right at the corner next to a gas station. I think these are people in the area who most certainly heard and maybe felt this explosion. They've come outside. They're not certain what's going on to see what's going on. Again, we can see the flames from here. Obviously, it looks much better than it did when this first happened. And you, of course, with Air 7 have a much better view than we do. But this is a really terrifying thing. We're going to walk around here and talk to some of the other residents here and find out what the situation is for them at this point, what some of them are planning to do with this going on right now. Mark,
Yeah, and real quick, Amy, you mentioned at the top of your report that police were involved in evacuating people. Is that correct? Are you seeing people actually being moved out? Because the city of Manhattan Beach has been telling us that there are no evacuations.
Well, we haven't made it down to where some of the houses are, but we're at this intersection and they have the roadblocks. We'll show the flares are here, over here, Romeo, and we see them blocking this intersection to not allow people to drive that way. So as far as getting people out of their homes, we don't know if that's happening, but they're certainly preventing people from the driving in the direction of the refinery right now for obvious reasons, because of the danger and because of all this smoke and the fumes in the area. So that's what we can see right now. We're going to take a look around and see if we can find some of these residents who maybe were told to get out. Right now, we don't know if that happened.
All right, Amy Powell, thank you. We'll let you continue with your gathering of information there. In the meantime, Colleen Sullivan, who lives about a mile from this, can go over with us what it was like to experience this so close, a mile or so away from this refinery when it exploded. Colleen, are you with us?
I am still with you, yes, Mark.
Okay, so
and
you went to the Rams game, you got
Howard.
home, and then this happened.
I went to the Rams game, which is pretty exciting at that. And then when I lay down in bed to watch TV, I had my blinds closed to my backyard, and I saw just a little rim around my blinds illuminate a bright orange. And then I heard this noise, and my neighbor, David, said it great. It almost sounded like a jet plane. It was so loud. It was scary. I popped up out of bed. I almost didn't know which way to go. But I thought I actually did think that my garage, I thought it was on fire, or one of my. I thought the glow was so bright in our neighborhood. You really did not see the dark sky. You just saw bright orange. And then when I looked over, because I'm elevated just a little bit, so I'm elevated and I can see the refinery from the corner of my backyard, from my deck. I could not believe my eyes. You could see it was an explosion. You did not know how far away it was. You knew the wind wasn't coming in your direction, but you could hear it. It sounded for quite some time like a jet engine, so loud. At first I thought it sounds like the loudest white noise machine I've ever heard. But really, and just to feel the panic in me, and like Howard said earlier, he's like, I'm not someone who normally panics. I am also someone who doesn't normally panic. But I said it before, it was as if my heart skipped a couple beats, because I didn't know what to expect. And then I looked outside, I saw all my neighbors coming out. I saw people driving, people planning an exit. They thought that it was coming our way. Obviously, those January wildfires, those are very close to mind. Everyone thinks, okay, we need to get out. I didn't hear any fire engines. We are in Manhattan Beach. I know there's mutual aid, but I didn't hear anything like that. I just kind of saw worry and panic. And I live in a neighborhood where most people are born and raised in this neighborhood. So I said, have you ever seen anything like this? Nobody. I mean, people who have been here 50, 55 years have never, ever seen anything, and they have lived in the same neighborhood, quite a few older residents. So it was very rattling. And for me to I'm in my pajamas, I'm trying to tell people, oh, yeah, we're still trying to figure out what's going on, because they look to news people to know exactly what's going on and try to tell them not to worry. And I'm trying to tell my kids not to worry. I'm thinking, but do we have something to worry about? So it's amazing to see the difference, because you can still tell there's something pretty major going on over at the refinery, but it's not. It's just about, when you see those flare-ups. And Mark, you have lived in the South Bay yourself. You've seen and you've heard the pressure release, just a flare, and you hear it. You still always hear it. So this is it's incredible that it has laid down like it is. And I don't know what kind. I know you were talking about mutual aid. I kept thinking, I think about all that fuel, and I think about LAX is right next door, and I was thinking, are they bringing out the foam from them? Because all the Los Angeles Airport Fire Department, they foam everything whenever
Sure.
there's a plane that comes in. That's they always have. There's so much fuel on a jet that they always have to foam it. So I just couldn't figure out how are they going to get to this. And I know a lot of arteries out of Manhattan Beach are closed now. You can't go Highland and Rosecrans. Rosecrans closed, so people who are trying to get out of this area, they're going to find it very hard. Amy is just a minute away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So at Rosecrans and Sepulveda closed. So Manhattan Beach, they can go south. They can go Hermosa. They can go to Redondo, but they're going to have a heck of a time if they need to head north.
Yeah, north or west of Manhattan Beach right now, probably a big problem. Stay with us for a minute. We're going to check in with somebody else from Manhattan Beach. Tim Lappin has been with us patiently for quite a while. Tim, you still with us?
I am, Mark. Thanks.
Tim, what did you experience? What I'm trying to determine, too, is whether you felt any heat from this, or was it all the visual of the flame and the sound of the roar of the explosion?
Well, it's interesting. I was working on my computer, and I didn't feel anything, but my wife came in and said, I think it was an earthquake. And then she went out in front because the people were gathering on our street. We live about 10 blocks south of this refinery, so we're pretty close. And I have to say, it was really bone-chilling to see the flames. They were super high and super bright. Like others have said, it was flashback to the Palisades, and the real reaction and first thought is, should I get out of here? Well, I still can. And it did not look like it was spreading. It looked like it was just flaming higher and higher, but not coming closer and closer. But the magnitude of the flames was so great that it looked like it was closer than 10 blocks away.
Yeah, and you live that close, and were you at that point scared for your life? What were you thinking? What's going through your mind when you see this giant flame?
I think I have two minds. One is I try to normalize. It can't be that bad. They have a fire department at the refinery. We got El Segundo fire, we got Hermosa fire, Manhattan Beach fire. They're all rushing over there. And so I want to think it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But I'm also obviously cognizant you've got a huge fire on top of God knows how much oil.
Right.
And could it explode? Because it doesn't look, and I've been watching the news since it started, that the fire is clearly just burning oil. But that doesn't mean something won't explode.
Right. And I think that's what they're trying to do right now, is to prevent another explosion and keep this thing from spreading to some of the storage tanks that might be around there, or other facilities where an explosion could take place. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I spent time at the refinery. They have a public relations thing where they have a tour, and I love machinery, and I was very interested in how everything worked. I was very impressed how everything is handled there. They seem to know what every pipe and tube does. So I'm assuming they're looking to do whatever they can to shut off the supply. It's not as if no one ever thought about a fire. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that that's the next step, is to shut the supply off. You may recall in old days when they had a big fire at like a oil rig, they had to blow it up in order to get it to go out.
Right.
They had to blow all the oxygen out of the area. But they must, you can see on the news, all the firefighting equipment that's pouring water all over everything. There's a ton of water going over there.
Yeah.
So trying to keep everything cool. So as far as I can tell, it just looks like the flames are lower than they were a half hour ago, and they're going straight up or to the side somewhat. Luckily, it's not a windy night. It looks like it's blowing west to east, and we're south. So we can't smell it. We don't feel the heat. Can't really say I hear much because there must be a dozen helicopters over our house. So that's what we hear.
Right. All right. Well, Tim, thank you very much. I'm glad you and your family are okay. And we're going to continue our coverage and try to find out more information on this. I can tell you and our viewers and listeners on our stream the latest information from Alert South Bay, which is a mutual aid sort of consortium that has come out with a statement here. It's a simple statement. It says there is a fire at the Chevron refinery. There is no public threat at this time and no evacuation orders in place at this time. Please stay indoors. We will provide more information as we have it. That's from Alert South Bay. The city of Torrance has put out an information about a couple minutes ago as well. From Torrance Fire Department, there's no impact on the city of Torrance at this time. We wouldn't expect there to be. Torrance is several miles to the south and east of this refinery. So that's the latest information. No evacuation orders. We still haven't heard about anybody being hurt, but there are a lot of very rattled people in the area having seen and heard what sounds and looked at least catastrophic from the moment that it happened almost an hour ago. Amy Powell on the ground right now, not far from the refinery, to bring us up to date from her standpoint. Amy.
And Mark, once again, we are here in Manhattan Beach at Sepulveda and Rosecrans, and I'm hearing from residents just how terrifying the situation was. I just spoke with the man, Arson, who is joining me now. Arson, you live about a half a mile from the refinery, just down this street over here. Tell me, you were at home. Tell me what you heard in this house.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it was terrible explosion, very loud, shook the house, like more than any earthquake ever before. The sky, like we've noticed, like all went red. First, we didn't understand what's happening. I thought a plane crashed nearby, or like really was puzzled. Got worried about kids sleeping, so ran towards the rooms. And my wife saw on the news immediately that explosion.
So you heard the big boom, and then...
Big boom. Like, I was confused. Was it like a supersonic, some boom of some rocket launch, or it's a plane crash or something? Like, was unusually strong sound. House shook like a strong earthquake, like more than any earthquake before. Yeah, and was very scary. And then we went to balcony. We were on the second floor. From balcony, we could see huge fire. So our neighbors starting leaving, texting us that they are leaving. My wife wanted to leave also the house to quickly take like passports and a couple of things and just leave. With kids, I said it's just really walking short distance. Let me just walk to the Rosecrans, which is basically main big street dividing the refinery from Manhattan Beach, to see if we should wake up kids and leave, or although they were semi-awake already, like because of the probably sound. But so yeah, I got here. Looks like it's getting contained. The good news is.
When you first looked out your window, though, and saw that, you were telling me what the sky looked like.
It was like burning, like a town, the whole town burning, like huge, like all the sky, flames high, fire, like sky red, like big, like really big, like not just one house burning or one tree burning or some block burning, like huge, really huge.
Did you
there are like thousands of tons of oil there. Imagine just blows and yeah.
Did you immediately realize that had to be the refinery? I mean,
once we got to balcony, yes, because you could see, and we know sometimes it happens. Unfortunately, this is not. I'm not happy having nearby refinery as a resident, but kind of you live with it. Whatever, if it's allowed, it's allowed. But it never has been like this bad. Sometimes there are some fire. You can see it smoking and the air quality goes bad. But this type of explosion, never before. It was really, really bad. Yeah.
Now, did the police come down your street? Were they warning people to get out? What was happening?
Yeah, immediately we heard sirens, the police, the firefighters, traffic towards the Segundo, the refinery, Rosecrans. No one came to a house. But we realized that immediately the first responders are on a move towards the refinery, and I mean, looks like they did a good job because it was really big. To just about an hour later to have this, I think it's impressive. Looks like it's contained because I can notice that just the pipes are now burning and under control. It was like huge, like
And some of your neighbors did decide to leave.
Yeah, next door immediate neighbors immediately called us. I didn't even hear the call. They texted that they are leaving. And they actually just texted me a couple of minutes ago if we left or we're staying. I said I'm at Rosecrans. It looks like contained. Other like classmates of the kids, parents, there are groups of chat groups between parents that live in the neighborhood. They also, many were saying we are leaving, and we can see so many cars already on the streets. It's usually quiet neighborhood at this time. People just people sleep, their work, the kids, but all of a sudden, lots of cars on the streets. So people were leaving the houses in a panic.
Did you get any emergency messages saying that you should, probably leave right now? Right over here.
Yeah.
Sorry, just step over here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you get any emergency messages saying you should probably?
We got some messages that it's safe to stay at home, and there is no evacuation alert yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, Arsen, hang on a minute because obviously we've got a lot of people out here. Most people are taking this very seriously. They're concerned about this explosion that happened that caused a lot of damage and a lot of danger to this community. And obviously we've got some other people here, doing other things. But again, we're seeing a lot of people. Maybe if we step this way, Arsen, I'm sorry, you were telling me about the messaging, that you did get some emergency messages.
Yeah, we got one. My wife got some message, and I got another one. I think maybe we're signed up to different this emergency alerts. The one that I received like half an hour ago was saying it's safe to stay. There is no evacuation or risk to leave the houses. Yeah.
So I know you did think about it, but you didn't want to wake the kids up and disrupt.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that we have nearby any relative that we would immediately leave to. So the kids are small. And ideally, it's very short distance. I was like, okay, let me just walk. I intentionally didn't drive also because I realized it's already going to get street closures and traffic. So I said, let me quickly walk and see what's happening. When I got, it was still quite strong here when I got here. Nothing like you see now. It was like very much contained.
And in the time you've lived here, you've seen other incidents over there, correct?
Yeah, I might be very approximate, but it happens at least maybe once quarterly. Unfortunately, but nothing like this. Some maybe a couple of times happened with sound. Never that I remember that house would shake. We see like this type of fire that you see now sometimes, but it's kind of controlled. I don't know how to name those, but it's like this poles of controlling the fire. It's not that it's spreading around uncontrolled fire. This was first time that you could see it's just out of control. So it looks like big containers and some storage is blue.
Are you going to get any rest tonight?
I hope. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we'll see. Yeah, I hope it will be till it's really contained. I won't go to sleep to make sure that if we need to leave, we leave. Who knows? Because if there are nearby other storages that might blow, I don't know all the details. Yes, what's going on there. So I'd rather be alert.
Well, thank you for speaking with us, Arsen. Glad you and your family are safe, and
Yep.
definitely keep an eye out. So again, you heard from Arsen. He and other residents taking this very seriously. He's been through this before, but nothing quite like this. That explosion frightened him, rocked his house. Right now, he came out to see how things look, and from what he can see, looking at the fire, it looks better, but obviously he can't relax. He can't relax. His family is there. He wants to make sure everything is safe, so he is going to be paying attention, listening for any alerts, and if he's told to evacuate, I'm sure he will go. Mark, will send it back to you.
All right, Amy, thank you very much. Governor Gavin Newsom has been briefed. We are told a statement from the governor's office is that the governor has been briefed on the incident at the oil refinery in El Segundo, and the governor's office coordinating with local and state agencies to make sure everyone is safe and that the community is protected. That's the latest information from Governor Gavin Newsom. Again, no evacuations, no reports of anyone having been injured. That is still holding up, and that is certainly good news. We await more definitive statements from Chevron and from the surrounding fire departments that have responded to this about exactly what happened here, what blew up, how did it happen, whether anybody was hurt, what was the danger to the community, and how it's being dealt with. All of these things now we're trying to find out, and we are awaiting word. It's been an hour now, a little more than an hour, about an hour and 10 minutes or so since this explosion and fire at the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo. The only definitive word is that no one is being evacuated. All the neighborhoods surrounding the area are told that they are safe, but you should stay indoors if you live nearby, especially if you live downstream. The video on your right is from earlier when the flames at this explosion were much more uncontrolled and much more violent. That situation has calmed down considerably since then. We're not sure if whatever petroleum product that was burning has burned out through whatever pipe that ruptured. There's a lot of information that we just don't have. We're in the dark in terms of what happened here and what's being done to secure the Chevron oil refinery, or whether anybody was hurt in the process here. The video on the left, those are live pictures. Those are two, for lack of a better term, smokestacks that are venting large amounts of burning petroleum gas or product. We don't know. That is something that you do see occasionally when there's a flare at a refinery, and there are flares here that have happened over the years. And so they're flaring pretty vigorously at this point, and have been ever since this incident took place. That's what we know. We have some new video just in of the fire, we presume in the early beginning moments of it. Let's take a look at that. This is video from Topgolf, which has actually been in the background of some of our shots. This is very close to the Chevron oil refinery. This is Topgolf, where I would imagine a lot of people might have been gathered to watch the Rams game. That's why the parking lot is fairly full on this Thursday night. And now we can get a sense of what it must have looked like and felt like for people who were very close to this. You saw people gathering, going out to the parking lot, getting in their cars and getting out. You see a lot of that happening right now as you see first responders heading into that Chevron oil refinery, and people here at this Topgolf facility, this Topgolf location very close by, who are leaving, and leaving quickly. But the flames were significant, gigantic really. This was a fireball that was seen throughout Southern California, throughout the Los Angeles area. Air 7 was in the San Fernando Valley when this thing first happened at about 9:45. And as they were heading up over the Hollywood Hills, as soon as they hit the Hollywood Hills, they could see it, they could see the glow, and you could see it for miles and miles and miles around. People reported seeing, hearing, feeling this explosion many, many miles away. It is a different situation now, where the immediate flames have diminished somewhat, quite a bit from what was initially seen, especially in that video from the parking lot at Topgolf. What we're just trying to determine is whether a concerted effort is being made to put those flames out, or whether there's some other strategy or tactics that are being employed to mitigate the flames. The best news we've heard so far is that there are no evacuations, and as yet we have heard of no casualties at all. What we can tell you about the potential for harm is that downwind of this is where all that smoke is blowing. And it's going to blow up into pretty high elevations, and then it's going to drift, and then it's going to start to come down. So once it does, those areas that are to the east of this location, we'll get a better sense of which way the winds are blowing when I get my colleague Dallas Raines to tell us a little bit more about the prevailing winds in the area. But typically, on a typical night in Los Angeles, unless the Santa Ana winds are blowing, the wind is blowing from the ocean to the land. It's blowing from west to east. It may vary somewhat northwest or northeast, southeast, but generally west to east. So if you're east of this fire, you start to smell, if you can smell any of the smoke, any of the smoke products, if you see smoke in the air, you should get inside and stay there, because that smoke is toxic. All smoke from all fires is toxic. All smoke from petroleum fires has chemicals in it that makes it exceptionally toxic. And that is something that is going to be of concern to people who are downwind of this. We'll get to that as we deal also with the immediate emergency. You see a response there from the local fire department. The Chevron oil refinery has its own fire response team. The city of El Segundo has a fire department. City of Torrance, Manhattan Beach, and other agencies have also responded in what's called a mutual aid response. in which all different agencies just throw whatever they need to at this so that the initial responding agency isn't overwhelmed. And that is helping, we presume. This is video from earlier, much earlier, closer to an hour ago, when Air 7 got on station and saw this. This is what appeared to be a ruptured petroleum line that was spewing petroleum product that was aflame and under high pressure and causing that giant fireball and the ensuing smoke to just jet into the air hundreds of feet up into the air. There is no effort that we have seen to directly fight these flames with water or with foam. We know a call has gone out to get foam into the area, to get foam trucks in place to start to put this fire out. We don't know if those products with that has been brought to bear yet. We are waiting more information from El Segundo Fire, if possible, LA County Fire, if they've responded. Whatever agency is the lead agency on this, we are awaiting word from them. We also have a call in to the Chevron Corporation. We have heard nothing from them as yet. We do know that the governor of California has been briefed and that any resources that are deemed necessary, he will release and allow for their deployment to this area. But that is in an effort to keep the neighborhood and the surrounding areas safe. We are told that the neighborhood has been deemed safe. Nobody is going to have to evacuate, it would appear. The danger to the surrounding community is definitely diminished if it was significant at all. We've never heard that. We haven't heard that yet. But you can bet people were very, very concerned when they saw the flames when they first erupted. Let's take another look at that video from the parking lot of Top Golf, if we have it available. Just moments after the fire broke out, we saw people scattering through the parking lot there and getting in their cars and driving away at a high rate of speed. And you could see the amount of flame that was evident and prevalent there. It was huge. The blast described as significant. One person who lives less than a mile from the plant described it as like an earthquake shaking their house. They thought perhaps that a plane had crashed nearby because the impact was so large and the flames, the sky was lit up with the glow. It turned out, of course, to be this explosion at the Chevron oil refinery. And so now we await word and hope to find out some more information about what happened here. Eyewitness News will be on the air in just a couple of minutes, and we will continue our coverage on live television. In the meantime, we can tell you that this fire broke out a little before 10 o'clock at the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo. It was a huge explosion, lit up the sky for much of Southern California. A lot of people very concerned. People saw and felt it on the west side of LA, downtown LA, down into the San Pedro area, and points east as well. A huge explosion. We don't know the origin yet. We don't know the cause yet. We don't know what it was that exploded. Some petroleum product, we presume, because it's an oil refinery. We don't know exactly what it was, and we don't know what caused it. We are going to try to find that information out. Eyewitness News will be on the air in about a minute, so you can join us there on ABC 7. I'm Mark Brown.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
We begin with breaking news at 11 o'clock. A large fire erupting at the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo. A huge fireball seen throughout Southern California. We have live team coverage from the air and on the ground, and our coverage will continue from our reporters at the various locations around here. We can tell you that neighbors felt it. People living miles away felt it and heard it and saw it, and it caused a lot of panic and a lot of concern. The good news, no evacuations thus far and no reports of any casualties. We do know that it's putting up a huge plume of black smoke that is causing problems potentially for people downwind. And when I say downwind, people to the east of this fire that erupted in El Segundo. We have with us Nahal Moghrabi from the Air Quality Management District to tell us about what potential danger exists for people downwind of this. What should people be doing? Are you with us there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, what should people be doing if there are you issuing any sorts of alerts for people who are downwind of this incident?
Yeah, so as of right now, our nearby air monitors are not seeing any elevated levels of particulate matter or air toxics. However, that being said, that may change as the smoke starts to settle a little bit later this evening. So what we're recommending is that if you're in an area where you see smoke, smell smoke, stay indoors and keep your doors and windows closed.
Do you have information about specific communities that would be in the path of this at this point? Are you looking at specific areas that may be of more concern than others?
So, yeah, we have fence line monitors around the community near the refineries. And again, currently we're not seeing any elevated levels. That being said, wind patterns can shift and can impact air quality. So we do recommend that folks download our South Coast AQMD mobile app that can give you very localized information on your air quality, especially if things change overnight or in the morning. Also checking out our website, www.aqmd.gov, can give you sort of the latest information on your air quality.
Expectation is that this smoke can travel for miles really before it starts to settle, correct?
That is correct. Wind patterns change. Right now, again, we're not seeing anything on the ground level, but as smoke starts to settle, or depending on what the wind patterns are, we can see some impacts. But again, time will tell, and we are monitoring that situation.
All right, Nahal Moghrabi, I apologize if I didn't quite get your name right.
No problem.
Assistant Deputy Executive Officer from the Air Quality Management District of Southern California. Of course, the air quality of great concern given an incident of this type and magnitude. The explosion, huge, felt across a wide swath of Southern California, seen for a wide swath. Let's go to our Leanne Suter. She is live near the scene. Leanne.
Mark, we're here in El Segundo, just a couple of blocks from downtown El Segundo, and you can get a really good view of the Chevron refinery here right off of El Segundo Boulevard. Things look much better than they did a short time ago when, as you said, this entire area was lit up with flames, massive amount of fire coming from this refinery. In fact, we happen to be, my crew and I, Ryan, we happen to be in West LA just off the 405 when we headed to the scene here, and you could see the fire from West LA just as we got on the freeway. The glow lit up the entire night sky, and you could see the massive flames coming from that refinery. A short time ago, we got to speak to a couple of guys. Their business, a startup business, is just a block off, not even a block, it's two buildings off of El Segundo Boulevard here, looking straight at the refinery. They are right in the path here. They happen to be at work. A couple of guys were here late into the night working when they said they heard a sudden explosion. One of them was standing outside at the time, and this is what they had to say about what they saw tonight.
I came outside to see what was up, and it seemed like the whole stacks were on fire. And my first thought was, I think I've seen videos of other refineries that have just a tiny spark, then massive explosion, right? So that was the thing, was where it's like, it looks a little bit right now, but I have no idea when the whole thing might engulf, right? So I ran back inside and started shouting at people.
I was at work here, and I came outside for a second, and then I saw the sky like light up orange, made a sound as well, and then we left and came back.
We were aware that it occasionally flares off, so we thought he was joking, trying to get us worried about a flare. And then the closer we got, the more we saw the sky was just a very bright orange and clearly not a normal flare.
The guys said that they really were concerned initially for their safety, and rightfully so. They say that there were a large number of fire engines that suddenly rushed into the scene. They also said that they saw the Chevron facility here, which has its own fire department, said they saw a lot of those units suddenly surrounding the area here and jumping into action. But they said their first concern, obviously, was if this plant was going to explode, if that's what they were about to witness. Thankfully, that is not the case. But again, so many people coming out to see what was happening. So many people all across the area here could see that fire simply because it lit up the night sky. I'll show you again over my shoulder another quick live look here from the scene. You can still see some open flame there, which we have seen before. We know that they do fire off gases, routinely. It's something we've seen, an open flame coming from some of the stacks here, which that appears to be at this point. But again, I am no expert when it comes to the refinery here, but things look much better than earlier tonight. It certainly does look like they've gotten things under control. We have not gotten any response from Chevron. No one out here willing to talk. I, in fact, went up to a couple of the workers I saw a short time ago just to see if I could get some insight. They too said there was nothing that they could say, nothing that they could offer with this. They just said that they knew that their company was on it and that they would do everything they could to contain the fire. And again, there's a live look right now. You can see things looking much better, but as you might imagine, so much concern for all of the businesses, all of the residents in the area. I know so many folks that were in downtown El Segundo heard that explosion, saw the fire, everyone rushing out to see what had happened. And thankfully, no word at this point we've heard of any injuries, but we don't know what may have happened to some of the workers. In fact, a short time ago, one woman stopped by to talk with us, and she said she was worried about the workers. She had a friend who was working there tonight. She wanted to make sure that they were okay. She said they hadn't been able to get a hold of them yet just to make sure that everything was good. But I'm taking it as a good sign, hopefully, that we haven't heard anything yet, Mark, that anyone was injured in this fire. And let's hope that now they are trying to get this situation contained. Live in El Segundo, Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Leanne, thank you. Amy Powell has been very close to this as well. She's talked to a lot of people who have been very close to this fire, who experienced the explosion very closely. Amy, what have you been able to learn?
Well, Mark, we've moved further into this neighborhood here in Manhattan Beach. Again, we're along Rosecrans near Sepulveda. We're seeing a lot of the homes, the people who live here about a half-mile from the refinery, and you can see all the flames from the fire over there at the refinery. It looks better than it did when we got here earlier, but from what everybody we've been speaking to around here tells us, this was absolutely terrifying. People describing their houses shook. Now, we know that some people voluntarily decided to leave their neighborhoods. They told me they have not been given evacuation orders. But again, this is something that people here tell me they've never seen before. One of the residents said he's lived here for a while. He's seen other fires at the refinery, but has never had an experience like this. We want to tell you what some of those people had to say. In fact, listen in, because this is what they told us earlier.
When I first seen it, it looked like a nuclear bomb going off, and I would say it was roughly at least 15 football fields wide, what it looked like to me. So I pulled over in a safe area and I started filming and photo shooting it, because I used to work for the news agency back in the day.
So describe for me the sound, because that sounds like it must have shaken. You were in your vehicle, it must have shaken your car. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was, I didn't hear as much of an explosion. I just saw the light. And I just immediately started, I never go in panic mode, and I started going in panic mode because it was so huge. It was like from here to here of flames and smoke. And I was like, I never seen anything like it in my entire life, you know? And it was horrifying. And I'm just like, Lord Jesus, please, I hope no one dies in this fire. It was heavy, and I have to say, I was in the LA riots for 4 days, and it was no fires like this. That's for sure. So.
Again, just listening to those stories, you can tell just how harrowing this was for people here. We spoke to one resident who has his family, 2 young children who were sleeping at the time. Their house shook. He went out on the balcony with his wife to take a look. They were thinking maybe they needed to get out. They decided to stay. He came outside to take a look to see just what was going on. Again, the sky was red. It was frightening, but that family has decided to stay. It looks better now, but again, you can see there's still quite a bit of fire over there. And then another concern, obviously, the fumes, the smoke that fill the air. It's less smoky than it was when we first arrived here, but you can definitely see still a lot of smoke in the air. So people are just a little nervous, understandably. You know, the big explosion happened. They're concerned, will there be any more? And so some are, I think, ready to evacuate if necessary, but right now they're watching and waiting and hoping that firefighters will get this under control and they won't have to worry about evacuating. Mark will send it back to you.
All right, Amy Powell, thank you. Let's take a look quickly at a map that we have prepared to tell you kind of the area that we're talking about. That's the El Segundo oil refinery, the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo, the communities surrounding it. Manhattan Beach, to the south of Manhattan Beach is Hermosa, and then Redondo and Torrance. As you go north and east, you're looking at Inglewood, Hawthorne, and if you look further east, you're talking about Carson and areas there. So people to the east are going to need to be on the lookout for smoke. If you smell it, if you see it, close your doors, and more information will be coming from the Air Quality Management District. In the meantime, Air 7, Chris Christie, you have quite a tale to tell of how you were pretty far away from this when this first started. And when this first happened and you got word, and you could see the evidence of it pretty much immediately when you turned in the direction of El Segundo.
Yeah, Mark, it strikes me that for all of the refinery recoveries that we've covered over the years, it's very rare that we're actually up in the air to actually see the explosion as it happened. And that's exactly what happened tonight. We were covering a police pursuit in the San Fernando Valley that came to a crash ending. We were captivated by that, and just minutes after that pursuit ended, the entire sky in the San Fernando Valley from where we were at our altitude turned completely orange, and we immediately looked to the south and saw this mushroom cloud coming from beyond the Hollywood Hills. That fire, this explosion, about 20 miles away from our location, as we then turned the camera and immediately saw this huge explosion in progress. What must have felt, as according to many people that we've heard from tonight, like the jolt of an earthquake, something really, really startling that rocked this part of the South Bay and felt all the way up into the West LA area. It was a dramatic sight as we look south, and we can actually play some of that video perhaps here in just a second, because the minute that happened, we turned the camera and were able to see the explosion. It was continuing. There were secondary and third explosions coming from beyond the hills. You can see that shot right here. This is what we saw as we were starting to immediately pivot and make our way towards the south. It was a really ominous sight, and I got to say, it was a relief as we got closer to see that the whole refinery was still there. It looked like something that would wipe out an entire part of a city, or maybe at the very least, this refinery might be history. That's what it looked like, and that's what it felt like. But as we got closer, we were able to see that as they started to, as the pressure decreased, this fire was contained to two separate parts of the refinery, those smokestacks, and then that infrastructure that collapsed just a little bit further towards the east that was burning out of control, but still contained to a relatively small part of the refinery. Like I said, it almost looked like the whole refinery was taken out in that explosion.
It's incredible. The video was amazing, and the experience must have been amazing as well. As we look live now, it looks like they've actually maneuvered and gotten a stream of water or foam, we don't know which, that is now being aimed directly at the problem area, the area where whatever that rupture took place, where the fire is happening, where the explosion originated. They're getting water on it now, and that is an encouraging sight.
Yeah, this is the first indication that we've seen of actual water making its way onto where that fire is coming from, that high pressure pipeline where the fireball is shooting out of. And you can see the obstacle here is actually reaching not only the distance, but also the elevation of where this fire, where that explosion happened. So they have to extend a really tall ladder to kind of meet that fire where it is and then shoot. That looks like water to me. I know the initial, in the moments after this fire, they were really calling in for foam trucks to try and saturate the fire, but really this is about the best they've got at this point in terms of reaching that fire where it is, about 50 to 70 feet off the ground, and that water cannon right there shooting the water directly into the face of that fire. There's a lot happening out here in terms of trying to prevent secondary explosions. There are other chemicals that are susceptible, and they want to make sure that those machineries are shut off to make sure there are no secondary fires, and then obviously making sure that everything else is nice and damp and wet where they can, where it needs to be. They have contingency plans that are being activated here at the Chevron facility and the surrounding areas. All of these mutual agencies trained to deal with these types of situations. But as we said, for all intents and purposes, this fire does appear to be isolated to a small section of the refinery, and right now the fire is doing those smokestacks. Those are relieving some of the pressure throughout this refinery right now. They are doing its job, and right now it's just a really visual flame that's coming from these smokestacks and from that other piece of equipment there that is still on fire and really providing a lot of light here tonight, and a lot of black smoke still, even as we approach the hour number 2 of this firefight.
All right, well, it's good news, but I'll tell you, it doesn't look quite like a direct stream of water is actually making it all the way to the flames. It looks like it's kind of dissipating as it gets close, but it doesn't get too far away from where the water's originating, right? I mean, it looks like it's kind of turning into a spray and maybe isn't getting too close to the fire, but hey, it's something, and it's closer than they've gotten earlier. The flames diminished enough where they can at least do this. And it's a matter of taking these steps and moving in, and eventually this fire is going to be out. And then they'll have to assess what happened. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you're right in that the effect of this water here still, even at this hour, is still pretty minimal, because by the time the water reaches that fire, essentially it turns into steam. And so it's not really having the desired effect of really dampening this fire. But again, as long as there's oil and high pressure coming from that valve, you know, I don't know what else we can expect until they can really shut things down here and get closer resources and fire assets on that fire. So I think they've got their work cut out for them. This will be an all-night affair here at the Chevron facility, but they are getting the pieces in place to make their way through this maze of pipeline and eventually get this under control. This is something, you know, these refinery fires are not uncommon. We've seen them all over the world, all over the country. In Texas, this is happening more and more frequently. We've seen them happening here, our refineries in Torrance. Also, this particular refinery catching fire in the middle of those tanks right there. Just about 8 years ago, I think you and I were covering a very similar fire to this in the middle of those tanks. So this is something that they are well trained for. And I think the biggest obstacle that I can observe from up here is just the pure location of where that explosion took place and the elevation from the ground. This is not a fire that's easy to fight from the ground. They really have to get those ladder trucks in place to, I think, eventually really work towards getting foam up there more than water.
Indeed. We're going to keep your picture up. Going to go back to Amy Powell. She's speaking with someone else out there. Amy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Mark. I'm here with another neighborhood resident here in Manhattan Beach, Keith Moore, who lives very close by, and he also has a very frightening story to tell about this experience. Describe as best you can for me, because you were at home with your family.
Yeah, it was super scary. Just sitting at home watching TV, and then all of a sudden it kind of sounded like sort of like plane engines, like almost a plane about to crash, and then a big whoosh, and the curtains all flipped up. The windows were slightly open. Almost felt like an earthquake because the house shook. So we didn't know what was going on. And then the dogs started barking. Looked outside and saw these giant flames that were just not a burn-off, because we've seen burn-offs here before. Burn-offs are loud and they're scary, but this was a whole other level. This was something different. This is 300-foot flames, 400 yards from our house. And we just, without thinking twice about it, packed up the dogs, got in the car and headed south as quickly as we could, just to get out of harm's way.
So it just was filling the sky, you didn't know what was going on.
The whole sky was lit up. It was like a really, really brighter than the moon on a really bright day, because even when we were headed south, the light from the flames was lighting up the buildings that we saw on the way out of town, and you could just see it was almost like daylight. It was so bright.
And you've seen other, again, fires at this refinery. You've lived here for a while, but
Yeah.
this, you immediately knew this was something.
Yeah, there was another fire here a while back, but it was way more east. It wasn't really threatening, but anything in that refinery is threatening because everything in there is flammable. It's just, ready to can go at any second. But they put that out really fast. They have their own fire department. They know what they're doing. They probably train for that 365 days a year. So I had full confidence in them then. This was different because this was out of control for sure. And we didn't know what was going to happen next. So we just got out of harm's way. And they did a great job so far putting it out. It looks like it flared back up again a little bit, but they did a great job so far.
So you did come back. Are you feeling comfortable? Are you going to be able to stay at your home tonight? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so far. I mean, about 20 minutes ago, it looked like it was out. So I came back out to take a look because just watching the news a few minutes ago, they said it flared back up. So just wanted to take a peek at it with my own eyes to see what the situation was. It looks like, it did flare back up, but it looks like it's more under control than it was earlier. Before it was crazy out of control.
Does this, you've lived here for a while, but does this make you have any apprehensions about continuing to live so close to a refinery?
Always had apprehensions living this close to the refinery. I used to live in El Segundo, about equidistant from the refinery over there. So I'm used to the burn-offs, and I'm used to occasionally the smell, knowing that you're right next to a refinery. But, it's the price you pay for living in Manhattan Beach, sort of. So can't change that for the world. It's the best place to live in the world. So.
And you were able to keep the family calm. I know you have some children.
Yeah, well, we have dogs.
Oh, we have dogs.
We just packed up the dogs and took off. But my wife and I, we were fine. We just wanted to make sure we got out of harm's way before anything really bad happened, because the first explosion wasn't loud. So we didn't know if there was going to be a loud one, and we didn't want to wait around to find out. So figured we'd watch what happens on the news, and when it's safe, came back.
And did you see police coming on your street giving evacuation notices or anything?
We left early. We left within 5 minutes because it was that scary. It was super high flames, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So rather than gawk at the flames and wonder what was going to happen next, we just took off, got out of harm's way, got safe, and then once we figured out that it was safe to come back, we came back.
Okay. We're very glad you're safe, and thank you for sharing your story. So once again, Mark, this is what we've been hearing all the evening. People are saying they've just never experienced anything like this, and the descriptions of the explosion, the footage that many people have shot of the flames, it was just terrifying. Again, you heard Keith evacuated with his family. He has come back now, even though we can still see the flames over there, but it's certainly looking better than it did earlier, but obviously it still poses a danger. But he's seen these fire crews work before. He knows that they are good at getting this under control. But what a terrifying experience for everybody in this community that have that kind of explosion, and it's going to be a while before they can feel really comfortable again. Mark?
Indeed. Amy Powell, thank you, and thank your witness there for describing it so vividly what happened. Now, what about the smoke that's emanating from this? Because, of course, there are toxins and particulate matter that will be follow-on effects from this. We spoke at the beginning of this newscast with someone from the Air Quality Management District who says preliminarily their monitoring equipment in the immediate vicinity doesn't speak of any additional or higher levels of toxic elements in the air, but that may change, of course, with the winds and where that smoke settles. How do the wind patterns work? We have Dallas Raines to tell us about that. Dallas?
Thank you, Mark. Well, just a few minutes ago, you were talking about the marine layer, and that's exactly what we have. We've been watching it all evening, and when that happens, the winds are blowing in from the west and the northwest, and they're very, very light at this time. Now, of course, you can see the flames there, probably a lot of methane being burned off there. As far as the particulates are concerned, we don't really know exactly what is burning. But we do know there's a lot of water vapor, so there's steam there, there's methane, carbon dioxide, and some hydrocarbons, I'm sure. But any of that can be toxic to human beings, of course. Now, we've been watching very carefully and looking at the monitors, not only the wind conditions, but we're also looking at the surface monitors from the AQMD. And when we look at those, we haven't seen anything at the surface that's showing up on any of our maps at this time. But that doesn't mean that it may in the future. But certainly at this time, very light winds, Mark. And as you can see there, we're not seeing anything on the map. Now, these are surface, though. These are surface monitoring stations in and around El Segundo, and we just don't see anything right now at this time.
Certainly good news.
It really is.
And let's hope it stays that way, frankly. Yes. We have our Leanne Suter is close by where the fire is burning, and she has been speaking with people out there. Leanne, what can you tell us?
Mark, so many folks that have come out said they turned up because of the glow they saw in the sky. You can see there's still a little bit of a glow right now from our vantage point here on El Segundo Boulevard, but it is nothing like it was a short time ago when it literally lit up the entire sky, and that is what drew so many folks out. We talked to a couple of people that came out to see what was happening simply because they saw the orange glow in the sky.
We still think it's a really big fire. Hopefully no one was in there. Hopefully everyone's safe, but it was pretty scary.
Yeah, what's it like now that you're up close, just seeing it? I mean, I saw it from the freeway. It was huge.
Yeah, it's massive. It almost looks, I mean, it's insane right now, but it looks like it's not as wild and huge as it was.
Yeah.
But that's a massive fire. Like she said, we hope no one was injured, that the workers there are safe, and they get it under control.
I was at home, heard something that sounded like a rumble, like a little bit like someone was in my apartment, and then pretty much immediately started getting texts that there was an explosion or a fire at the refinery, and that I should probably be thinking about bugging out.
And you, so you live like really close by?
Yeah, probably about 10 blocks from here.
10 blocks, wow.
Yeah.
And what was it like when you first came out and got a look at it?
Yeah, so I peeked outside. Pretty much the whole sky was orange, so pretty alarming. Immediately started packing a bag, kind of in a panic, and then hopped in my car and drove around a little bit to kind of assess the situation and see if I really needed to, find a place to stay for the night.
There certainly was a lot of panic. There certainly was a lot of panic for folks all around the area that heard and felt that explosion and saw the orange glow in the sky. Everyone wondering what could happen next. There was a lot of fear, again, that they thought maybe there would be another explosion at the refinery here, and it could be much worse. Thankfully, that was not the case. Things now appear to be under control, at least looking so much better than they did earlier tonight. No massive flames filling the night sky, but certainly work going to continue throughout the night as they try to fix the problem here at the refinery and control that fire. Live in El Segundo, Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Leanne. No secondary explosions. The initial explosion, bad enough to the people who witnessed it. There are lots of video that has been coming into Eyewitness News that was taken by people who were close to the flames as it erupted, as that explosion took place. If we can, we'd like to get some of that video on the air now. There was there's a Top Golf location that's probably, it looks like a block or so away from the fire. Here it is. This was moments after it broke out. People getting out of the building, getting out of the parking lot hastily. Best way I could describe it. And look at the extent of the flames there. They are wide, they are very tall and very bright and very vivid. And this was the scene moments after the fire broke out. The various locations around the South Bay in particular, seeing that fireball erupting into the night sky. And you can imagine in an area, part of the world that's still kind of dealing with the PTSD, if you will, from our January wildfires. Here's a time-lapse video, actually, from when it started. This was from a camera, I guess, operated by UC San Diego. It's in the South Bay somewhere, excuse me, and it shows the flame and the explosion initially, and then the flame that continued after that. So a lot of different views. A lot of different views that are coming up from around the area. This is a camera that's normally used to spot wildfires, and it spotted this instead tonight. We've got our Chris Christie in Air 7, of course. They spotted it from the San Fernando Valley when it first broke out. Now you're over it now. It seems to have diminished quite a bit, but it's still very active, right, Chris?
Mark, I've got to tell you, probably in the last 60 to 90 seconds, we're seeing it flare up quite a bit. You're seeing that flame much brighter, much taller flames. It almost looks like there is additional pressure coming from that exposure, and we're also seeing a subsequent cloud that's beginning to build once again, something we haven't really seen since the initial moments of this explosion, where you have a thick black cloud once again forming and drifting over towards the east. So I don't know if this is intentional, if they're intentionally bleeding pressure to relieve whatever composites are in there left to burn, or if there is something secondary that is causing this flare-up. But whatever it is, it's taking on a more vivid profile once again, and the height of that flame is coming out with even more pressure. I mean, you're talking about at least a 50-foot flame right there coming from where that is originating to the bottom of your screen, which is already about 50 feet up in the air, and it's shooting straight up. That fireball is just growing in size just in the last couple of minutes.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on that. We can tell you that in addition to Governor Gavin Newsom, Mayor Karen Bass has been briefed, even though this is taking place in the city of El Segundo and not the city of Los Angeles. The mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, has been briefed on this. We are told from the mayor's office no threat to any communities in Los Angeles and LAX, not affected in any way. Air traffic still proceeding as normal in spite of the smoke from this fire. It's a pretty vivid scene, as you can imagine, from the cockpit of an approaching or departing aircraft, but that is essentially it in terms of the effect on air traffic. We have a map that will kind of show you, excuse me, the areas of Southern California that are being told to shelter in place. I'm not sure if evacuation zones is quite the right thing we want to be saying right now. As far as we know, there are no evacuations, but people are being told to shelter in place. Stay in your home if you were in the areas that we're looking at. Basically to the west of the refinery and to the south of the refinery, along Rosecrans Avenue, these areas that are part of the city of El Segundo, and extending to the east into, it'll start to jut into Hawthorne, perhaps the Lenox area of Los Angeles, and perhaps as far east as Gardena. But these are the areas where you're being told to shelter in place. What that means is you keep your windows closed, you keep your doors closed, you stay inside if you can. Try to make sure that you can do that, because you don't want any sort of particulate matter entering into your home, because it will be toxic. The good news, as Dallas mentioned earlier, is that, and what the spokesperson for AQMD mentioned earlier, their monitors are not picking up any sorts of toxins or particulate matter or things to be concerned about on the ground in the immediate area of the refinery, or even in any points east. The air quality is still good to the points east of the refinery, even though the wind is blowing the smoke in that direction. The wind, as Dallas mentioned, is very slight, very light this evening, and so the smoke is going to move slowly, and then it's going to settle. Once it settles, those monitors may pick up some pollution and things that need to be concerned about, but at the moment, there is nothing of that sort. You saw the areas that where you've been told to shelter in place, so please follow that instruction. In the meantime, Chris Christie has mentioned that the flames seem to be increasing, although nowhere near what it was when the fire and the explosion first happened, of course. And perhaps this is a tactic that is going to be employed to vent off whatever gas is left in whatever this pipeline is. Hopefully they have shut off the source of the petroleum product. We don't know whether it's gas, we don't know whether it's oil, whatever it is that is burning. And will hopefully help in the effort to snuff it out. You see the smokestacks there, the level of flame from those has diminished in the hour and a half or so since this, actually it's almost 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes since this fire and explosion first happened in El Segundo. So all things at the moment looking good, no reports of any casualties. No evacuations have been ordered, none are expected. None of the surrounding cities are experiencing any problems, nor is LAX. But the fight continues against the flames here at the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo. Our coverage will continue as we stream this on our streaming platforms. We're going to stay informed, going to try to find out more about what caused this, what's burning, and what the potential hazard is, if there have been any casualties that have just not been reported to us. We're going to try to find out as much as we can from the city of El Segundo, from the El Segundo Fire Department, from whatever mutual aid agency is responsible for the response, and from Chevron itself. In the meantime, our coverage will continue. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next on ABC 7. Our coverage will continue on our streaming platforms. I'm Mark Brown. We are back up now. We are streaming on all of our streaming platforms. ABC 7 coverage of the explosion and fire at the Chevron oil refinery in El Segundo. Let's quickly get out to Chris Christie for an update on things as they stand right now. Chris?
That's right, Mark. Want to go ahead and give you our perspective here from the south side of the refinery. We are over Manhattan Beach looking towards the north here. LAX just about a mile north. The runways are really pretty close. You can see just beyond the horizon there. So as we pull back out, you can see that there are two main parts to this fire. This refinery is really lighting up the night sky with some smokestacks on the western edge that are burning off, and you can see that relief producing a fireball from each of those on the left side. And then over on the eastern portion of the refinery, where that explosion appears to have occurred, is still burning relatively out of control. However, the actual source for this fireball is contained to this one part of the refinery as they attempt to try and shut off all the equipment, try and reduce whatever is fueling this fire, and also dampening all of the surrounding areas and equipment to prevent any secondary explosions. It's a tactical effort, but it does look like they've got the pieces in place to execute their strategy, because they are already starting to call off a lot of those original units that responded to this fire. Some of the ambulances, some of the surrounding municipalities that responded to this fire have been sent back to their own jurisdictions, and they are now relying on the local efforts here at the Chevron facility and El Segundo Fire Department to deal with the task at hand of getting this thing under control. So everybody responded out here in the initial moments of this explosion, which rocked the entire city of El Segundo, LAX, Manhattan Beach, much of the South Bay felt this and saw it for many more miles, upwards of 20 miles away. This was a dramatic explosion, to say the very least. But when we arrived on scene, we were pleased to see that it really was isolated. Once the smoke dissipated and some of the initial flamage started to die down, we were able to see that this is coming from a very particular part of the refinery. Those pipes right there, which are heavily damaged and are now producing this fire, really are the epicenter of what's left here as they try and figure out how to shut off whatever is fueling this fire, Mark.
All right, well, we are seeing that effort right now. They did bring that ladder with some high-pressure water hoses attached to it. They brought it in fairly close, but it's not quite close enough to really have a huge impact on the flames that we're seeing. The flames at various points, as you've been pointing out, dying down a little bit, then flaring up again as whatever is supplying the product that is burning, whatever is fluctuating. We have, who do we have right now that's available on the ground? Just tell me in my ear. We're going to go to one of our reporters on the ground as soon as we get some information about where to go. You're looking at what? Go ahead. All right, yeah, that's right. We have Colleen Sullivan, who lives nearby, not far from there, about a mile or so from this plant. And as we get more close-up pictures of firefighters working in areas around where the explosion happened, let's hear from Colleen Sullivan about how this was when she first experienced it, and what happens, how it was from her vantage point. Colleen?
Hi, Mark. Yeah, you know, I am still back on my back deck, and I have a fantastic view of this refinery, which I didn't realize I had such a great view until my entire backyard looked like it was on fire, but my blinds were closed. So when the initial explosion happened, I didn't hear an explosion. It was very quiet outside, as it would be. And then it was as if there was a jet plane that was, coming up for takeoff or, landing. It was just such a loud noise. And I thought, what on earth? And since my backyard looked like it was inflamed, I ran to my little backyard, and I didn't know what to think. And I go to my husband, I said, oh my God, I don't know what is going on. And then because the whole sky was bright orange. And then when you looked over at the refinery, you saw something was happening. I truly thought the whole refinery was going to go up. I didn't think anything. I have heard some of our viewers saying that they thought something deliberate was happening. I didn't think that. I just thought, I live near this refinery. It is always a concern. We see these flare-ups, but it was so unbelievably loud outside for so long. While it felt like it was for several minutes, because my neighbors then went outside, opening their windows, said, "What's going on?" And you try to tell them, and you live right next door to them, and they go, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." So, and then I started seeing cars sort of driving pretty quickly behind my house, and I thought, where are they going? Some people were evacuating, and I think I said it before. I think it was because a lot of us think about the wildfires and how hard it was for communities to evacuate. So there was a lot of panic, and I myself, I was quite alarmed. I didn't know what was going to happen. Even though I'm far enough away, I did not think that the fire was going to be coming towards me.
Yeah,
it seemed contained.
That video that we're looking at, this is video you shot, correct, from your backyard?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's it's scary from what you're showing us.
Right, and if you put up the natural sound of that, if you can, you'll hear what I'm talking about with the noise. And these are iPhones. They're not really capturing as what you're seeing. It felt so different than what I was experiencing. But again, I can see why people thought they needed to escape. I can. Now, when I looked at the video and I posted, I thought, geez. And, it's still quite bright. Even from, watching our coverage, I'm looking, Amy Powell is so close to me. And Chris Christie is what he's showing from Air 7. It shows it's great images, but when you're really close, you still see all the clouds illuminated underneath, and it's producing quite a bit of white smoke, but there's still a huge amount of black smoke. So I don't know how long this is going to take, but what is one thing that I keep noticing is that at one point, I don't know if LAX did any kind of stop, but you do still see quite a few planes going in for landing. It's very interesting.
Yeah, well, what we've heard from the mayor's office is that there has been no effect on air travel at LAX, even though, as you quite rightly point out, it is very close to this facility. But at this point, it's smoke that would be emanating from it, and the smoke is drifting from west to east. And it so far is not affecting air travel. Of course, planes can land in fog and all sorts of conditions, including that marine layer. They're probably contending more with the marine layer than with the actual smoke from this, at least from what we're able to see. Go ahead.
Yeah, the marine layer is not as thick as it is many nights. So, I mean, I can actually still see some stars above, which is remarkable. But it does look like there's more marine layer to the west. But right over this refinery, you can see it. It is like a small little city within that area, and I was interested to hear that other gentleman you spoke to who had a tour of the refinery. I would love to have one of these tours. It's one of those areas that you drive by and you want to peer in and just see what goes on behind there. Because, when I drive to work every day, there's several different shifts. They run that thing 24 hours a day. So you can see when it's the shift change. But again, you can still see so much smoke being produced, white smoke and black, really black smoke.
Oh, wow. Well, look at this. We're just watching more video from Air 7. Flames almost out at one point. It diminished quite rapidly, and it does seem to be fluctuating, but they appear to have been able to find a way to shut off the supply, or at least diminish the supply, choke it off. because a couple of seconds ago, Colleen, it was as though the thing just almost snuffed out all by itself, just stopped burning, and then it flared up again, and now it's back flaring up. But something is being employed that we hope is choking off the supply of burning material to this pipeline that ruptured and broke. We're seeing it fluctuate even now on live TV as we're talking. Now it's burning fiercely, but a couple of seconds ago it diminished quite rapidly.
I think that's why I was saying we're seeing these massive puffs of black smoke. It's be a puff. Like right now, there's a big black puff, but in between, and then you see the flare up, and then you see so there's obviously they're doing something there. Something is changing with whatever way that the smoke is coming, because that's the one spot I can see the flames, but I see the smokestacks. But that one spot to the east is where I can't see. There's a big, like right now it looks like it's out, and now I can only see through some branches of a large tree.
Yeah.
That's a voluminous tree, not a palm tree.
Yeah, so we have our Amy Powell, who's pretty close to where this is happening. And the flames have been pretty much behind her for much of the evening. And let's go to her really quick, because Amy, I want to ask you if you're seeing what we're seeing in terms of the flames, the flame lengths and the flame volume fluctuating, getting smaller and then bigger and then smaller again. Are you experiencing that?
Absolutely, Mark. It's funny you mentioned that, because we moved to a different position where we can see the flames pretty clearly over at the refinery. And you're absolutely right. Earlier we saw much bigger flames, and then they died down a little, so we thought, oh, they're starting to get a good handle on it. As we look at it right now, it looks a little better than it did even 5 minutes ago when the flames were a lot bigger. But you just get the feeling you're not sure if this is over yet. I think that's what many of the residents around here are feeling. It's interesting to hear what Colleen was talking about, that just how strange, how eerie this was, and the sounds. We're about half a mile again from where that refinery is. We're along Rosecrans near Sepulveda in Manhattan Beach. A lot of people, a lot of homes in this area, and a lot of people felt and heard the results of this refinery explosion, and almost everybody describes it as nothing they've ever felt or seen before. It was massive. The sky's turning red. In fact, we want to hear from some of those residents right now. They can explain exactly how frightening this was.
When I first seen it, it looked like a nuclear bomb going off, and I would say it was roughly at least 15 football fields wide, what it looked like to me. So I pulled over in a safe area and I started filming and photo shooting it, because I used to work for the news agency back in the day.
So describe for me the sound, because that sounds like it must have shaken. You were in your vehicle. It must have shaken your car. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was. I didn't hear as much of an explosion. I just saw the light, and I just immediately started. I never go in panic mode, and I started going in panic mode because it was so huge. It was like from here to here of flames and smoke. And I was like, I never seen anything like it in my entire life, and it was horrifying. And I'm just like, Lord Jesus, please, I hope no one dies in this fire. It was heavy, and I have to say, I was in the LA riots for 4 days, and it was no fires like this. That's for sure. So,
I'm back here to another live picture. You can see the flames still over there at the refinery. They were lower a moment ago. They're starting to flare up a little bit more now. Not as bad as we saw earlier, but you just get the feeling that it's not quite done yet, that this could continue burning for a while now. Some of the people who live in this area did decide to evacuate when they saw the fire initially. It was so frightening, they got in their cars and took off. I spoke to one resident who did leave with his family because they felt it. They weren't sure what was going to happen. He came back. He said it appears to him that it's looking better, so he's feeling more comfortable staying here. Again, we're along Rosecrans, where you see the roadblock up there. Not too much traffic coming and going here because police don't want people getting too close to the area where the refinery is, just in case it should flare up again. Now, the smoke is much better than it was earlier. We were in a lot of smoke when we first got here. It has dissipated quite a bit. I think the winds are blowing it in a different direction right now. So again, The people who've decided to stay, I think many of them are still keeping a watchful eye tonight. I don't think they're going to be getting a lot of sleep. They're not comfortable because they don't know if something else could happen over here. But right now, it seems to be calmer, and hopefully there'll be no more explosions. Mark?
All right, Amy Powell, thank you. Let's go back to Chris Christie. And Chris, to the left of your shot right now, to the left of those flames, there's a building that firefighters were on top of, and they were shooting water into the roof of that building. I think that's it right there. That's it. Okay, yep. On the side of that structure is a sign, and it says ISOMAX. So I took the liberty of trying to find out what clues that may yield for us. They are concentrating very heavily to some degree on that. They're shooting water into this. We don't know if this was the source of the explosion. We don't know if the explosion originated there. But ISOMAX is a type of unit that Chevron, they've named it the ISOMAX unit, and it is used to crack heavy material or oil into jet fuel. So that is a clue. If that is connected in some way to the explosion that took place here, that is a clue as to what may have caught fire. It may have been jet fuel. If they're looking at an ISOMAX unit here, which is what they're pouring water into right now, in addition to that rupture that is somewhere away from that, they're pouring a lot of water and a lot of paying a lot of attention to this building that is an ISOMAX unit. And again, according to Chevron's information, it is a hydro cracking process, which we take to mean cracking is when they convert oil into usable fuel. And this unit that does that is an ISOMAX unit, and the catalyst in the ISOMAX is designed to crack heavy material into jet fuel. That may be a clue as to what is burning. That would certainly, jet fuel, as I'm sure you know, being in part of our airborne effort here, jet fuel, very, very highly volatile, right? And also burns very, very hot.
Yeah, that's right. It's very similar to diesel fuel. It's different than what you put in your car. And what I can tell you is that over the course of this firefight, we have been listening to other responses throughout this refinery, fighters fighting other fires. And this is the first glimpse in the last 15 minutes that we've been able to see of one of those fires. All indications are, Mark, that building fire is secondary to this explosion. So we have the explosion that took place that I believe, from what I'm hearing on the radio, and this is not confirmed, this is just basically off of what we're trying to gather through the conversations that we're listening in on. This is one of those possible secondary fires. They are shooting water. They have cut holes in the roof of that building with the ISOMAX sign. They have cut holes in the roof, and over the last 10 minutes, we've been watching them shoot high-pressure hand lines into that building, which tells me that there is some type of active firefight going on inside that building, or at the very least from the roof of that building, especially if they're putting firefighters on the roof of the building. The way we've been watching, they're using vents, and they're also cutting holes in that building and shooting water down there. Now, we do see firefighters now starting to get off of the roof. Not sure if that situation inside that building is contained, but I can tell you this is consistent with what we were hearing, but we weren't able to see earlier, of other secondary fires that were started as a result of the initial explosion. This appears to be the clearest evidence that we've seen yet of secondary fires, and that certainly appears to be what we've been watching. They've been, again, shooting water into that building for the better part, well, at least when we first noticed it about 15 minutes ago. They've probably been fighting a fire in there for even longer than that, and that may not even be the only building that has been affected. So I'm starting to get a little bit better picture here of the scale of this. That initial explosion has damaged other parts of this refinery and really makes you wonder now how long it's going to take to really assess the scale of this explosion and how long it's really going to take to bring this refinery back online. I can't tell you how much fuel this refinery produces, but we can pull those numbers. I have a feeling this is going to affect the industry in the coming months, because this entire refinery was indeed affected by that initial explosion. Much of it is still standing. I didn't think it would be based on the explosion that we saw from the San Fernando Valley. It was massive. I can't say it enough, and I can't emphasize how dramatic of an explosion it was. But despite the fact that it is isolated to this main fireball right here that's shooting out of that high pressure line, we've been continuing to see that pressure fluctuate over the last several minutes from a candle all the way up to even, bigger fireballs that are shooting hundreds of feet up in the air. Somebody appears to be controlling that pressure. It's almost like somebody's turning the dial on a stove between low and high heat. So that's happening as they try and fight this fire, but also there are other firefights taking place in this refinery and inspections underway to make sure that, or really assess the actual scale of this explosion. Mark?
Chris, you brought up a very interesting point when you talk about the secondary damage, the damage to other structures in this refinery, and how that's going to could potentially affect the production of gasoline and jet fuel and things and products that are necessary here in Southern California. The car culture here, of course. So the El Segundo Chevron refinery produces about 110,000 barrels of gasoline every day. According to Chevron's own website, they supply 40% of the jet fuel and 20% of the gasoline in Southern California. 20% of the gasoline market share in Southern California apparently comes from the El Segundo refinery, 40% of the jet fuel. This could have a pretty significant impact if it turns out if this refinery is offline for any length of time. So normally they store a lot of it, and it appears none of the tanks have been compromised, so that's good news. But as far as bringing new gasoline, new jet fuel into availability in Southern California, that could be significantly affected if this refinery goes offline. Something we're going to have to deal with and look at in terms of the follow-on effects from this. One is the pollution, of course, in the air. The other is the effect on the availability of gasoline and thus the price of gasoline and jet fuel. We're not going to run out of gas. We're not going to run out of jet fuel, but you can bet the cost of it could certainly go up as a result of this refinery being offline. So that's something that we're going to have to look at very closely. But you do see among the firefighters there, the emergency that they're dealing with has diminished in urgency. You see firefighters there that are, I guess, waiting for something to do or going to be deployed to some other part of the plant. They've dealt with that secondary fire, it appears, in that one building. Of course, the initial fire still burning, but as you have been pointing out, has been fluctuating in strength. And so much water being brought to bear there. You see the pools of water that are forming while they put as much water as they possibly can. All of that water is something that's also going to have to be dealt with as well, because there may be perhaps petroleum products in the water or polluting the water. They can't just let that drain into the ocean. That's going to be dealt with as well. There are a lot of factors here that are follow-on effects from the initial explosion and fire that, of course, rocked this area at about 9:45 tonight, some 2 hours ago now, that where the Chevron oil refinery had this massive explosion. Chris, I'm going to let you take it away here. Again, it looks a lot different than when you first saw it, especially when you were out in the San Fernando Valley initially, when you first became aware of this.
Yeah, it's fluctuated throughout the past hour, and you can see that fireball continuing to be produced by, and there it goes. It goes down just within seconds. They bring it down, and then in a minute or two, you may see it explode once again. It's just been flaring up and down over the course of the last half hour or so, which is better than what it was earlier, because earlier it was a consistent flame shooting hundreds of feet into the air and producing those really thick black clouds of smoke that are affecting the air. May not be registering with the actual air quality monitors, but it is shooting black clouds of smoke over South LA and over El Segundo. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're also just getting a glimpse of these other secondary effects and fires in this vicinity, in the vicinity of that explosion, we see once again firefighters fighting a structure fire on the premises here, which basically just reveals that there is more than meets the eye when it comes to this particular explosion. I have a feeling that when daylight arrives, we will be getting a much better assessment as to the extent of the damage here at this refinery. And of course, they'll probably be spending days assessing the actual consequences here, Mark.
Indeed. We have not yet heard from Chevron. We have not yet heard from the El Segundo Fire Department about some of the details concerning this explosion and fire at the Chevron plant, the Chevron oil refinery. We hope to get those, and we will, of course, bring them to you on Eyewitness News beginning at 4 a.m. I'm Mark Brown, along with Chris Christie. We thank you very much for watching.